Hi, I'm Joel Lattis, and this is my presentation for EDL 852 Module 1. My current job is as the COVID-19 site coordinator for Derby Public Schools. It's a relatively new position. I actually only started it on July 1st. In this, my role is to liaison with our local health department and work with them as they determine close contacts and positive cases, and then also just serving as a resource for administration and the community. This is a shift for me because I've spent the last 16 years in the classroom as an elementary special education teacher. I spent most of my time at El Paso Elementary in Derby, Kansas, and then I also spent several years at just a few other schools before then. I also have worked as a para. I've been a custodian and a substitute teacher in my time for the district. A big part of my leadership journey has been committee work. I've worked on several district level committees. A point of pride, honestly, is the time that I've spent chairing the Special Education Advisory Council. I've done that for many years, and then also serving on our building leadership team and then positive intervention teams. Another huge part of my journey as a leader is the fact that I am current president of our local teachers association, DNEA. And so the work that I do there, collaborating with teachers from across the district and at times administrators and community members, just has really helped widen my gaze in terms of what goes on in our district, as well as, again, just building my own capacity as a leader. My family information, my wife, Angela, and I have been married for 16 years. She is an elementary music teacher, an elementary instrumental music teacher, and we have three sons. Our oldest, Wilson, is going into sixth grade. He is 11. Our middle son, Henry, is 8, and he's going into third grade. And then our youngest, Oscar, is 6, and he will be going into first grade. So really, jumping into the content, the first question really to ask is, what is a school mission statement? And when we look at it, a mission statement explains a school to the reader of the statement by describing the steps the school takes to meet its vision statement. And so that kind of leads us to the next question: what is a school vision? And a school vision declares what's important to the school, its priorities, its objectives, and its values. It's a vision of how the school wishes others to see it. And so, really, when we're looking at these, then now that we've defined them, the question is, what is the role of them and how are they important? And really, strongly held statements are at the core of any successful school. Those goals are shared through statements, and then the statements guide the school's environment. They help teachers focus on the primary purpose of educating students through the goals embodied in the statements. And so, really, they work together to communicate the school's values and the beliefs to the community. And they also, again, provide that clear goal, that clear target for teachers to get behind as they work with students. It's important to have a collaborative process as mission and vision statements are developed. This really will help, I think, three things. One, create ownership in the mission and vision statement across the school community, which will then help build culture across a school community. But then also by including teacher leaders in this process, you're helping build their capacity. So really, the first step is to develop the statements. And in doing that, it's important to get a timeline for the overall process. You want to gather input from all stakeholders, work with those school leaders collaboratively to build their capacity and draft your statements. You want to present that draft to the staff and allow for time to discuss and revise. And then you want to share the mission and vision with all stakeholders. After the statements have been developed, they need to be implemented. And this is going to start by connecting those stakeholders with the statements. helping them have a personal connection to the mission and the vision. You want to use the two statements to evaluate the needs of a school and look at it through that lens. And then you want to enmesh those statements and the actionable steps in the mission that are utilized to carry out the vision into the daily functioning of the school. We need to communicate our mission and our vision. They need to be personalized. And when I say personalized, I don't mean the content being changed, but help people see how those statements personally connect to their experiences as a learner or as an educator. They need to be delivered using the pre-existing capacity of school staff. And the other thing is, they need to be strengthened and developed utilizing the pre-existing reputation of the building. Now, these statements are just one-day statements. They are ongoing. And so as they are carried into the future, they need to be enmeshed in the culture of the building. Achievable goals will be derived from these statements, and those achievements need to be honored when they're met. And then personal decisions should be viewed through the lens of these statements. If they are truly what's important to your building or your district, you want to make sure that you are considering them when you're hiring someone, because you don't want to hire someone who doesn't share those same core beliefs. And then, most importantly, I think, is to review the statements when needed. Nothing will stand the test of time, and as needs change, it's possible that the statement might change as well. So when statements are developed in this way, they will be reflective of the values and priorities of the school's community. So really, then we need to look at what makes these statements well written. They need to be academically focused on student learning. They need to be clear and concise, not overly wordy, not vague. They need to be publicly stated. They're not something to be hidden. They need to be used to drive instruction. And then finally, they need to be clearly stated by administration. Statements that are developed in this way and have these characteristics will ultimately give educators a clear sense of purpose. Now, of course, there are sometimes problems with statements. And really, the two that I really honed in on is that these statements are not effective when they're not clear and concise, when they're muddled, where they're overly wordy, where it's hard to understand what the point is. They also are not impactful when they're overly generalized. They need to be specific and targeted to the needs in that building, because the whole goal is to motivate staff around the purpose and goal of student learning. So personally, I honestly have not given mission and vision statements much thought prior to this. Now, I've worked in my district for a really long time, and I know that we've had vision and mission statements, even before looking them up for this assignment. But I think when you're in a place for a really long time, it becomes really easy to just kind of get into the swing of things and do it without really reflecting on that piece of it. Now, professionally, interestingly enough, I see great value in uniting a group of educators around a shared goal, especially in my work as a special education teacher, working with a team of paras and also teams of teachers, but then also in my work as an association president. The ability to unite teachers around a shared goal and a shared vision is just incredibly effective. It's one of the most powerful ways that I've discovered to enact meaningful change. And then when these statements are crafted in an intentional, collaborative way, they can develop building culture by providing a defined target for the work that we do as educators. When I look at the Derby Public Schools mission statement, it says that the mission of Derby Public Schools is to create a tomorrow that is better than today by ensuring that all students continually grow and learn. So how does this statement hold up against the research? And I feel like it does. It's academically focused in that, the whole goal is to ensure that students continually grow and learn. It's clear and concise. It's only a sentence long. It's publicly stated on our district website. It's on district buildings. It's something that is very prevalent throughout our school district. It's used to drive instruction in that, all of the instruction that happens in a grade level, in a building, in an intervention is done to ensure that students grow and learn. It's also clearly stated by district administration. However, one thing that I don't know if I've heard it consistently shared by building administration. So I would target that and maybe have it be publicly stated by all levels throughout the district, just to really build that ownership. So these quality statements support both student and adult success by providing a well-defined guide for student learning. And as the different pieces of teaching circle around the statements, they're going to be implemented with consistency and fidelity at all levels of the school district. Then this is applicable also on a building level, because instead of looking at different buildings and departments, you're going to look at different grade levels or intervention teams, and they can do that same thing. If they're working towards the same mission and the same goal, it helps them work in a consistent manner with fidelity. And then ultimately, by providing this defined cultural consistency, these statements support both the success of students and the success of the adults who work with them. This assignment correlated with the standards selected because it had me review resources that provided information to help define what makes an effective mission and vision statement. Doing this had me reflect on the importance of identifying core values in order to make effective statements. This is reflected in the work by asking me to evaluate my own district's mission statement and compare it to the parameters of effective statements. It's relevant. This assignment was relevant to me because, as I said earlier, I've not really thought about it that much. I've known that they're important, but it's probably better to say that I knew that, setting defined goals was important, but really connecting that to the student success through a school's mission and vision statement. That's something that I really hadn't done. And by improving my understanding of that, this assignment has been incredibly relevant to my learning because it's helped connect those dots. And then finally, this assignment's going to influence the decisions I make as a school leader by expanding my knowledge of what constitutes effective vision and mission statements. Even when in a larger district, I think as a building administrator, I might not have the freedom to develop my own statements. I still think that there's something to carry from this because, you want to look and find a school whose mission and vision statements align with what are your priorities. And so it can help in that piece. But then also, I can still control how I communicate and reflect those statements and those priorities in my own practice, and then also share them with my staff. Here are my references. With that, I would say thank you.